He's going to pace the field? Yep. Love it. Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight, getting the W's, so got to be around the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkered. You are fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby! Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the best car here, bud. Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job. Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend. What a weekend. Good job. Thank you.
Can you hear me now? Hey, I've got something. All right. I think we're back. Okay. Good? All right. All right. Welcome back to Racing in the Draft. My name's Mark, and yeah, I'm brand new at this. I have no idea how to use my computer or audio, but I guess that's what happens sometimes. Yeah, I had whenever Windows resets, it resets to different drivers or not drivers, I guess audio drivers, and I didn't check it. My bad. But we're good now. We're good to go, and I mean, at least it wasn't a 45-minute red flag for me to figure that out like we had in the O'Reilly race earlier this evening. So back-to-back races where we've had extended red flags. Too many cautions to count. What's up, Crypt? Kryptonian? And Andrew, thanks for the no audio. And thanks to Matt. He sent me a text going, hey, no audio. But we had a 4-hour truck race and a 5-hour O'Reilly race, and I'm really hoping that we don't have a 6-hour Cup race tomorrow, because I'm actually supposed to manage a iRacing event tomorrow night, and that's supposed to start 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So hopefully this race in Coronado will be over by then. And my guess is, I don't know. I tend to think that the Cup guys are going to keep their wits about them, but I mean, you never know what may or may not happen. But congrats to Austin Hill on getting his first road course win of his career, and I think his 21st or 16th. I can't remember what they said earlier. Race, but good for Richard Childress, good for Austin Hill. And I tell you what, Austin Hill looked actually pretty good in the Cup car during practice, so he'll definitely be somebody we need to talk to. But I still think the man of the hour that everybody's going to have to go out and beat is going to be that 97 and SVG. He just, he slips and says, "Oh, I left a little bit out there on my qualifying lap," and he still qualifies first. He's just that good. So, But either way, we are celebrating America's 250. I mean, last Sunday we had the fight at the White House. This weekend we've got pretty much a fight at Coronado. This time with 3,400-pound race cars. What a way to start the celebration of America's 250th. So it'll be exciting to watch. But last weekend we saw Denny Hamlin get his 64th career win. And man, I tell you what, the rest of the field is probably glad that we are getting away from an oval track so we can tame Denny Hamlin for a little bit. But, we just back it up with another guy who just wins all the time at road courses, SVG. So, it is what it is, but congrats to Denny Hamlin on his 64th career win. It was not as easy as it looked, but he still got it done. Family Man says, Tyler Reddick looks older in that picture. Yeah, I was not happy with the top half of this turned out really good. The bottom half is kind of okay. Connor Zilic didn't turn out quite the way I wanted it to, and Tyler Reddick doesn't even look like Tyler Reddick. He looks better with the beard. And it put the road course at 2.61 miles. I don't know where it came up with that. The rest of it's fairly right, but I spent too long, and that's the whole thing about AI. Once you start trying to get it to fine-tune pictures, it starts to drift and it starts to change things. So once you kind of get something that is really, really close, which this is pretty close, you kind of go, okay, leave it alone. Like this picture took forever. Like for some reason, it had to screw the Minions up because of the Minions copyright deal, and it would just not put a Minion back on it. Even though last week it had a Minion on the graphic. I was like, you just did it a week ago. What are you talking about? You can't do it. But AI is AI, and it's going to kind of do what it wants, and you can fight with it all you want. But sometimes you just have to go, okay, I'll take what I can get and move on. So, yeah, we're not we're not quite there with AI yet. It's good, but there's still definitely some room, and it still saves me a ton of time. Like I was actually able to sit down and enjoy the O'Reilly race today, because typically I'm having to build Excel spreadsheets and build PowerPoints and everything else. So, yeah, I mean the picture turned out great. The top half, there's like I said, there's just a couple little things, but this top half looks phenomenal. I mean, I love the aircraft carriers. I love the F-18s, the Blackhawks, the Ospreys. I mean, all that looks phenomenal. So in the rest of the graphics, it turns out pretty well. All right, let's get into last week's optimal lineup, which had Denny Hamlin starting in first, finished in first, and had it screwed this up again. Only has 26 fast laps. I don't know how many laps that he led. I mentioned that last week. I need to make a note of that to have it fixed. It needs to have the laps led also on here because that's kind of important when it comes to optimal lineups and showing what happened last week. But either way, Denny Hamlin still finished in first. Tyler Reddick made it up from 16th to 4th. Ross Chastain 24th to 8th. Eric Jones still on just an absolute great run for his team and for Legacy. Riley Herbst battling back for a 16th place finish, and John Hunter Nemechek with Eric Jones in that Legacy group, both finishing in the top 6. Really good runs for Legacy. And after watching practice and qualifying, I guess they lost all their speed when they came out west because they were about awful in practice and qualifying. I have not been able to dig in to figure out what exactly is the issue with Legacy on road courses, but they've got the ovals definitely kind of figured out a little bit. But most of Legacy was slow in practice and qualifying. We'll get into that momentarily. Our optimal lineup challenge: Denny Hamlin at the top by himself now with 8, Ty Gibbs with 7, Tyler Reddick with 6, Brad, Ryan, and Bubba with 5. Trying to hunt down Denny Hamlin and Ty Gibbs and Tyler Reddick for that top spot. Either way, that is your optimal lineup from last week. Glad Prime Video was able to get that race moved up by 2 hours, or we would have not had the full 160. We probably would have had like 130 laps at Pocono. And I'm not sure Denny Hamlin would have won. But either way, they got it all in, and I'm glad that we have Prime because they have pretty much an open slot availability to run the race whenever and whatever time they want, or as long as they want. So we might need all full 6 hours tomorrow. God, I hope not. I'm actually a little tired of watching cars just sit there on a red flag condition at the track. Either way, so we are at a brand new road course, street course, whatever you want to call it. They turn right and left out at Coronado Naval Base out in San Diego for the Anduril 250, but it's actually 255 miles to be exact. But we've got 3 stages. The first stage is 20 laps, second stage is 20 laps, and the third stage is 35 laps for a total of 75 laps. And I really hope it doesn't take that long to run this thing. It could, though. But yeah, this is an inaugural race, 3.4 miles. It's the longest road course that we run this year. When we ran the full-length COTA 2 years ago, it was just a little over 3.4 miles, and Road America was also right around 3.4 miles. So we have had races that distance-wise are as long as the San Diego Coronado race course, but this one is way more technical. Extremely tight corners in some places and extremely wide corners in some places. But it's really cool to watch them run in and around all the different active military stuff that is on this base. It's really cool to see. It's really cool to see the servicemen and women out there watching, pretty much almost in their backyard in some cases. But it's going to be a cool race. I'm excited to watch it, and hopefully it doesn't turn out to be a snooze fest where SVG runs away with it. Typically, he's going to have to do something to come through the field at some point in time. But other tracks to compare to, of course, Circuits of America, Sonoma, Watkins Glen, any time that they turn right and left can easily be compared to this. This one is a little shorter than the rest of the road courses that we're comparing to, with only 75 laps. So it's going to be really hard to collect a large Dominator points. But SVG is definitely going to go out there and give it his best shot to get as many of those Dominator points as potentially possible. So when you're building those lineups, it's the important part is going to be finishing position and place differential. And trying to figure out the place differential so far, at least for Trucks and O'Reilly, has been near impossible because they've decided to wreck a lot of the field in both of those races. And I mean, the bad thing is the O'Reilly series goes up to Sonoma in a week, and there are a lot of torn up cars that they're going to either have to rebuild, repair, or pull the backup out. And if you have any issues at Sonoma, you don't have anything else in the tank or in the truck to go to. I almost might think that they might end up having to get a couple of haulers to go from Charlotte out west, and maybe some of the teams kind of team up together and carry a couple of extra vehicles out to Sonoma so they've got the race cars that they need. But either way, our optimal lineups for the last 4 road courses. Failey Man says, a lot of landmines. Yeah. With place differential this week. Bell, for example, I'm a little worried he doesn't finish the race. He was struggling with his wrist in practice. He will be played a lot, though. I actually will still play a fair amount of Christopher Bell, mostly because they have Brent Cruz on standby. Brent Cruz is a very young man, 19 years old, he's 18 years old. But he has just an incredible talent, especially for road courses. So if Christopher Bell decides that, hey, I'm not going to try to injure myself any more than I need to, he's going to. They will have plenty of time during any of the first cautions, because it takes, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes to get around Coronado at this point. It takes forever. It is a really long caution lap. They'll have plenty of time to get everything switched out and get Brent Cruz into that car. And as long as Christopher Bell starts the race, not only for Draftkings, but for NASCAR for points, Christopher Bell would be awarded whatever points Brent Cruz happens to end up getting. So even with Christopher Bell, if he starts, runs a lap, they have a caution, he goes, hey, go ahead and put Brent in this car. I'm going to try to take it easy and try to get myself better for the rest of the races this year. No reason to push it. It's going to be tough for him to get out, but looking at where he's qualifying, looking at that he really didn't turn a very fast lap of qualifying, and Brent Cruz did do some practice laps, and he looked pretty good, actually, in those practice laps. My guess is that we will see Brent Cruz jump into that car at some point in the race. And if that's the case, it's fine. They're not going to go laps down unless they have an issue with the car, but getting the driver switched won't be an issue. And Christopher Bell would still be awarded the points per DraftKings and per NASCAR. Now, if you're really concerned about the points, if Brent Cruz gets into that car, he cannot be awarded stage points for Christopher Bell, only finishing position points. But since DraftKings doesn't do stage points, it doesn't matter to us. It's all about finishing. And since place differential is kind of a big deal, I'm perfectly fine still running a Christopher Bell, and I'll probably run a decent amount. I think he'll actually probably have a decent amount of ownership. Now, with that being said, look back at last week with Brad Keselowski and Bubba Wallace and those guys that started from the back. They were like, heck yeah, I'm running them 40 or 50% of my lineups. That bit us in the backside. We go back up and look, and Brad Keselowski's nowhere to be found. Bubba Wallace did make the other drivers not in the optimal with 38 points, but I mean, that's not even close. I mean, Riley Herbst was $6,000 and got 36 points, which is a little bit less, but that's because it ended up fitting that way. Bubba Wallace wouldn't have fit into that lineup. So, with that being said, starting from the back doesn't always guarantee. Even somebody who, like Brad Keselowski, one of his better tracks is Pocono, and starting from the back did not end up benefiting or paying off for us. So, either way, so I mean, when we look at these builds from the past 4 road courses, beyond, I mean, SVG didn't even make the Coda optimal lineup. He did for Watkins Glen at 78 points, but Tyler Reddick, who led 58 laps, had 66 points. So we're not talking huge points for these things. So when we're building these things, we're really looking kind of at about a 50-point threshold for optimal lineups. So anybody that we can get kind of in that 50-point to 55-point range is somebody that we need to make sure that we're looking at putting into our lineup and putting in a fair amount. Now, that fair amount depends up to you on how much you want to put into a driver or not. But, and the same thing happens here. The Sonoma race, SVG had 86 points, but the next highest points getter was 53 points with Chase Elliott. Same thing at the Chicago Street Course from last year, 62 points. The next one was 50 with Chase Elliott. So beyond SVG, realistically, we're looking at that 50-point range, and that's where the optimal line kind of starts to line up, even for the expensive drivers. Once you get to the lower price drivers, it kind of goes down to the 45 and 40-point range. And that's kind of where we need to go. Anybody that's going to be less than 32 points is beyond what I consider my core 15 drivers. And that's typically how I build most of my lineups, is having that core 15 drivers that I think have the best opportunity to score points within above that 32, 33 point range, all the way up to potentially being in this optimal lineup. Daniel says, I'm here. Need my voice to get Emerson down. Okay, I will be more than happy to be the soothing voice to get Emerson to sleep. That's what I'm here for on Saturday nights, is to get Emerson to fall asleep. Well, I will say, even though the first graphic wasn't absolutely perfect, I can say my AIs have been fairly busy working on the racinginthedraft.com. Let's kind of pull this over and look. I have added a winner circle. So if you happen to be following me here and you're subscribed and you're part of the Discord and you take any of the information from here and you happen to get a win, whatever that win happens to be, maybe it's a little bit, maybe it's a lot, maybe whatever. If it's just, you ended up having a good day and you want to share that with the rest of us, we'd love to hear about it. All you would do is kind of go over here, look at the Racing in the Draft winner circle. I put mine in from the All-Star race as kind of the example. All you do is hit submit your win. You put your name. If you have a Twitter handle, you can do that so I can tag you. If you want to be tagged, email, it's optional. Doesn't have to be there. The contest you won and a screenshot of your win, and you too can be part of the winner circle. So that is an addition to the racinginthedraft.com. I think it's pretty cool, and would love to celebrate and know about any of your wins that you've gotten, and if I was able to help out at all. Then the calculator, the nice, important calculator. We have made some improvements to it. Make sure all this is lined up correctly on the screen. I forgot to do this before we got started. Let's see. Does that look about right? Nope. Need to come over a little more. Sorry, I usually get this lined up before I get started, but as you see, I wasn't fully prepared. Because I've got two computers. I've got an AI computer that sits over there, and then I've got, this is my racing rig that I use. Okay. Now I'll get this lined up. So everybody's familiar with the calculator, the Draftkings calculator that, you can put in here, and you put the, where you think the projected finishing is, how many laps you think they're going to lead, and all those types of things, all in here. Great. Okay. So we understand that. We'll come back to this in just a second. Then, of course, the rankings come up once we fill all that out. And we've now added the optimizer. And you can now optimize based on and built on the calculator that we just did. So as we go through all of our drivers and we start to build all this out and we start to lock in what we think they're going to be, once we get this all said and done, we can now come over to the optimizer, fill out the optimizer, and you can build anywhere from 1 to 150 lineups. And it will build them out however you want. You can lock somebody in, you can exclude a driver, you can put a minimum percentage that you want or a maximum percentage that you want. You can do variances, you can leverage. I don't know what the max stud is on here, but it's on here. If anybody happens to know, I don't use a whole lot of optimizers, so I'm kind of new at this. I just said, hey, go build, here's 5 examples, and go build this out. And I used it for both the truck race and O'Reilly race so far. It wasn't the optimizer's fault. It was, they decided to wreck a lot of cars in those last 2 races. So I can't blame my not doing super well on the optimizer. I think the optimizer did what I told it to. I just didn't have the right people built into the optimizer. So as we build out this calculator, we'll kind of go through that process, and then we'll go through running a quick optimizer on it. All right, let's get into our driver breakdown. We start at the top of the heap with SVG, $13,000. And is he worth $13,000? Yeah, he is. It's just, I mean, he's just that good. As we look through the stats, he's starting from the pole. He was 8th in single lap. He was 1st in 5-lap consecutive average. He has 4 wins out of the last 5 road courses that we're comparing to him. We're comparing to Coda, Glen, Sonoma, Mexico, and Chicago. Mexico, because it was the first time they had been at Mexico, and this is the first time they have been at Coronado, San Diego. Chicago, it's a street style course, which Coronado is a street style course. Very tight corners, very technical. Sonoma, it's also extremely technical. Watkins Glen and Coda, because they were the last 2 road courses we've been to. And Matt sent me a message earlier, saying, hey, really take a look at the Roval. A lot of the guys that were fast in practice were also fast at the Roval practice, and they ended up having good races. So I will need to do a little more investigation into that. So also you open yourself up to looking back at the Roval practice and finishing spots when you're building your lineups. Any of the road courses come into play when we're building out a road course type race. So I picked these 5 races earlier in the week because I thought they were the best fit. Like I said, the Roval could easily fit into all these matrix also. But SVG, 4 wins in the last 5 road courses, 70.4 Draftkings average. Remember, we talked about literally just get to 50, and that's probably going to be enough to get you into an optimal lineup. Well, SVG is 20 points ahead of that. He has an average running position of 1.2. Of course, this is the inaugural event at Coronado, so no prior tracked data, so no wins there. 15 total road course starts for SVG in the Cup Series, and over half of them have netted a win. 9 top 5s, 12 top 10s, 12 top 20s. So he's not always perfect at these road courses. He does have mistakes, but he does have a 6.3 average finishing position for the road course races. Okay, so SVG, what do his practice laps look like? Of course, the white, they don't do a whole lot of practice laps. I think, hit max of 15 practice laps. I mean, it does take almost 3 minutes to get around this track at full speed. Actually, it's a little less. It's like 2 minutes and 36 seconds, give or take. But 143 seconds is kind of the average times around this track. But the white is the average based on all the drivers in the field. The red was the fastest driver, which was Kyle Larson. And the blue is SVG's times. And this is, the speeds are all over the place. We have some very, very fast laps, and we've got some laps that they're not very fast. This track is extremely technical. All it takes is one corner that you either push or slip or try to pass somebody, and it will slow your lap time down dramatically. If you happen to watch the Truck or Xfinity race, it was very easy for guys to catch back up to another driver because all it took is one corner for them to have a slight issue or slip, and the guy in second, third, or fourth was able to track them down if they just got the corner correct. So the practice speeds, I think, mean something. It kind of gives us an indication on potentially where somebody is at. But because we don't, the data here, there's not a lot. It's not like they went out and ran 20, 30 laps and we have really good, solid data. I mean, most of these guys ran, 5 to 10 laps And a lot of times they were pitting in between these laps, so getting consecutive runs was pretty tough. Most everybody did a 5-lap consecutive run, and tires will be an issue. This track is extremely abrasive. Parts of this track are on a concrete runway. Parts of it are through parking lots. Some of it go over railroad tracks. We've got going into between turns 1 and 2, they literally will have all 4 wheels off the ground. They will jump the cars. Now they don't jump very high, but they do have all 4 wheels off the ground at some point. Then you come around to turn 3 at almost full speed, and this is where Sam Mayer literally knocked the wall 6 feet back and destroyed 20. I think he destroyed 23 cars. He destroyed about 8 cars, but had 23 cars with damage in the middle of the O'Reilly race earlier today. Now the trucks coming into turn 16, the final corner, they pretty much knocked that wall down, and that was the safer barrier protecting pit road from the cars that were on the track. So either way, SVG, as no surprise to anybody, he's most expensive, he's got the most talent, and he's got the best 5-lap average. Yeah. Kyle Larson, who's also extremely good, had the fastest single lap, and he actually did that very, very late in his run. Lap 11 of his runs, he had the fastest lap time of practice. What's up, Lost Prophet? You're behind, but right now, but excited for this race. Yeah, I think the race is going to be, I think it's going to be better than what we saw in O'Reilly and Truck, mostly because watching racing for the last, 25, 30 years, where I'm really watching and really understanding what's going on. I've been a race fan most of my life, but especially the last 5 years, been very intent on watching not just who's running up front, but who's running in the middle of the field, who's running in the back, practice speeds and all that type of stuff. What I have found is if the truck race and Xfinity / O'Reilly race are knock 'em, sock 'em, destroy the field type of races, the Cup guys are watching that. And they go, okay, we need to be a little more patient here. We need to get the field a little bit strung out, and you can make up positions and make up times here because of the tire variance, because of all it takes is one small slip on a corner and you can get around somebody. You will have some drivers who are impatient. We do have some young drivers in the field that are going to try to make things happen that they shouldn't, and that could collect somebody that doesn't. But typically, if we have a just horrendously bad wreck fest from the other two series, the Cup guys have a tendency to be a little bit more calm. Now, everybody wants to win the first race at this track. We'll see what happens. So, I'm hoping for a little bit more of a calmer race, as long as they continue to make it exciting, which I'm sure they will. Tyler Reddick, next in line here at 10,200. He did win the COTA race and ended up beating SVG earlier this year. 10,200. He is starting 17th. His practice speeds were 11th in single lap. In his 5-lap run, he was 6th. So decent speed with Tyler Reddick. Kind of a tough outing for qualifying. He's got 1 win out of the last 5 road courses, and that pretty much ends the wins column because SVG took the other 4. But Tyler Reddick does have 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and 5 top 20s over the last 5 road courses that we're comparing to. A 45.6 Draftkings average with a 7.0 average running position. He has 34 total road course starts with 4 wins, 11 top 5s, 23 out of 34 top 10s. Tyler Reddick is very, very good at the road courses, and expect him to potentially have a decent day. We saw a lot of discrepancies in speeds all throughout practice and all throughout qualifying. So it's going to be kind of a crapshoot for this race. It just is. If we look at his practice speeds, of course, we have the Kyle Larson SVG. We already talked about them. The Tyler Reddick is in this, I don't know, yellow, green, gold. I'm colorblind, so I kind of know what the color is, but I don't know exactly what the color is. I mean, his speeds were fine. Better than average for most of the run. He's starting almost in that average spot. It's, the average spot is about 18, 19. He's starting 17th, and he's better than average. So more than likely, my guess is he should move through the field. He typically has very good road course awareness, and ends up typically finishing in the top 10. So, that's some decent spots. Oh yeah, I forgot. We need to go fill this out. So SVG. So when you're building out your lineups, and this is how I build out my lineups. You can build out your lineups for however you like. I typically try to build half my lineups with who I really think is going to end up winning this race. Like last week, Denny Hamlin, top of the line. That's who I thought was going to win the race. That's who did end up winning the race. And that's how I build my lineups, is with that storyline in place. This week, same type of scenario. I have no reason to believe that SVG won't start from the pole, won't lead a lot of laps, won't end up finishing first. Now, they're driving cars, and other cars are around them, and things happen. Tires blow out, engines blow up, people do stupid things. Manhole covers come out of the road and in through somebody's grill. There are things that are out of driver's control. If everything stays as normal, SVG has shown that he probably leads the most laps. Now, we start to throw this in. We have 20 laps in the first stage, 20 laps in the second stage, and 35 laps for the final stage. Well, you can give up a stage position and flip the stage to start the stage first again. More than likely because SVG has got a decent spot in the playoffs or the chase currently. I don't think he's necessarily going to be worried about getting stage points. He's going to be worried about getting the win. To do that, you short the stage, which means you pit with 2 to 3 laps to go in the stage. So my guess is SVG gets out front, leads through lap 17, gives up the lead, comes and gets fresh tires. What happens then, they get to the end of the stage. The guys that need stage points stay out on older tires. They come in and pit. That then brings guys like SVG or guys that have decided to flip the stage back to the front, and the guys that just pitted will fall in behind them after they've pitted. So then SVG or whoever happens to have done this strategy, flip the stage, ends up being up front again. And that gives them the ability to then lead that second stage. And what we've seen in the past is SVG, when he's out front, can easily just stay out front the entire time. And you do the same thing from stage 2 to stage 3. Now, the real tricky part comes in at stage 3 because they're going to need tires and fuel some point during stage 3. They can't run the whole thing on that final stop between 2 and 3. They'll need one more stop beyond that. So when I'm building the story out, I think SVG is going to lead the first 17 laps. Then he's going to lead the next 15 laps because it gets a little wonky with stage breaks and caution laps and the caution laps counting. So we're looking at this point 32, 33 laps that SVG leads. And then if he starts from the first position again for stage 3, more likely he's going to lead another probably 5 to 7 laps. Now, things get weird, things get wonky. I understand that. Now, the laps led compared to fast laps, because you're out front in clean air and you're not having to battle people, sometimes you're saving tires, so you'll back down a little bit, maybe not have the fastest lap. It's usually a 2-for-1 type of deal. So looking at about 16 fast laps. So where does that put SVG? Start first, finish first, lead 38 laps, and 16 fast laps gets you to 61.7. Easily clearing the 60-point optimal line threshold. And I have the 60-point optional line set for the top 3 guys. Then it drops down to 55 points for Ty Gibbs and below. You honestly actually could probably go to 50 points, but I locked it in at 60 for the top 3 guys. I think 55 points through Chase Elliott, 45 points from Kyle Larson, or 50 points from Kyle Larson down to, I think, Magnuson. And then, of course, then it just starts to change. But this is how I build the scenario in my head for at least probably half of the laps. Is that another text message, Matt? He says I'm muted again. Am I muted? I'm confused. Yeah, Lost Profit. The optimizer is pretty cool. It is in absolute beta, so be very careful with the optimizer. I don't know why it sent. I just got that again. Weird. Okay, it was an old text, not muted. All right. So I'm going to lock that in at 61.7. Of course, once again, you can go over to the rankings, and it locks him in there. We go back to Tyler Reddick, who we just did, starting in 17th. Let's pull the calculator back up again. Starting in 17th, kind of building this through. I don't think he's going to lead a ton of laps. I think might have maybe 2 fast laps as he comes to the field. Now, Tyler Reddick does potentially. Now, if you're building a scenario where SVG wins the race, and you think Tyler Reddick's going to have a decent day, maybe a 6th, 7th, maybe even a 2nd place, maybe he gets into the top 3. But we'll go on the safe side and we'll go like a 6th place finish. Maybe he doesn't lead a whole lot of laps. Maybe he is the one that decides not to flip the stage and get some stage points, get the guaranteed points, and maybe he leads a few laps there. I'm not going to go with that premise. I'm going to leave the laps led at 0. I don't think he's starting far enough up to pull that off. I think there are going to be other drivers that stay out that need some stage points. But I'm going to lock him in at a 6th place finish, 2 fast laps, 49.9 points. That's where I'm going to lock him in at. It definitely could vary. I mean, of course, he could have a flat tire, could have an engine issue, could knock down one of the walls and have his car destroyed. Those things happen. We just have to base this on what do I think he's going to end up doing. Connor Zilic, up or down type of year so far for Connor Zilic. Mostly down. Road courses there have been moments where the road courses have been good with Connor, but he's still had a little bit of a struggle. Connor's got the talent to potentially win or be top 3. When you build the storyline on your head, how does this story go with a Connor Zilic? I will have a few lineups where the storyline changes that I don't have SVG win. So when those happen, that's when I build a different storyline out. But for my bulk core group, I'm going to kind of put Connor Zilic in the low teens, 13th, 14th place finish. And, he'll be fast. He'll get probably a fast lap or 2. Because he's so far back in the points, stage points aren't going to matter for Connor Zilic. He's going to want to go for a win. That's where he saves his season, is if he goes and gets a win or a top 3. He's too far out of the points to try to get himself into the top 16 for a chase format. So he absolutely does not care about stage points. That's just my personal opinion. I've not heard him say that either way. If I'm Connor Zilic, I want to have a top 5 or 3 type of race. I'm going to put it as maybe slips a little bit, maybe can't quite get there. I'm going to put him in 14th. And I'm going to lock it in. That takes him out of my core 15. With that being said, that's fine. There will be lineups that I will still run him. That's probably going to be more like a sub 10%. That's just kind of where I am. I like Connor Zilic a lot. Ty Gibbs. Actually, let's go back and look at Connor Zilic. Starting in 8th, practice was 4th and 8th, single lap and 5 lap. Over, I think so. That's Dakota, Watkins Glen, and was it Chicago? No. Either way, he's got 3 total starts because the Coda of 2025 was his 3rd race. So this stat here is Coda and Watkins Glen. He's got a 17th place average running position with 2 top 20s. And the total body of work for Connor Zilic includes the Coda race of 2025, where he finished 37th. So he has an average finish of 23.7. Like I said, it's been real hit or miss so far with Connor Zilic in the Cup Series. Look at his practice speeds. He is in this gold, yellow, green looking color. Good, solid laps. I think he easily could be a top 10 car. Could be potentially a top 5 car. He could potentially even win the race. He's got the talent. So far, he has not had the luck to get that pulled off. So, like I said, when I'm building that lineup, I'm kind of go a little conservative. I'm just going to put him as a 13th. Could be better, could be worse. Still takes him out of my core 15. Ty Gibbs, starting 11th, he was 3rd in single lap, 4th in 5 lap consecutive average. And the 5 road courses we're comparing to, 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 5 top 20s with a 5.4 average running position. That's a really good average running position, a 45.8 Draftkings average. Ty Gibbs has 23 total starts in road courses. He does not have a win on road courses yet, but 7 top 5s, 10 top 10s, 15 out of 23 top 20s with a 14.3 average finish. Practice speeds looked respectable. I said everybody is all over the board. And it's really hard to really kind of gauge where somebody is on practice. And yes, I'm a Kyle Larson fan. Yes, I understand it. But he's one of the guys who, after he comes in and makes an adjustment after lap 5, just continually gets better and has figured out the track. More so than even SVG. Now, SVG came out to run his qualifying lap and said he screwed up and still finished better than everybody else. So Ty Gibbs starting 11th. What does that look like on our chart? So starting 11th, I think Ty Gibbs is probably, in my storyline, probably about a 5th place. He's pretty well off in the points. He might want to pad because he doesn't think he can potentially go and beat SVG, and they'll know that by lap, 8 to 10. So I think that's when they'll make a decision. But I'm going to take him starting 11th as somebody who potentially could lead some laps with the stage break or the stage flipping, where SVG will come in, Kyle Larson will come in, the guys that are kind of starting up front that may not need stage points, where Ty Gibbs could stay out or he could come in. I don't think it really matters to him too much, but I'm gonna give him 3 laps led. I'll give him 2 fast laps, and I'm gonna lock him in at a 46.7. Okay, we talked about Christopher Bell, our one-hand driver, this week. Does he race the whole race? I do not think so. Brent Cruz is his relief driver. Brent Cruz is extremely good at workhorses. He started from the pole earlier in the O'Reilly race, led 13 or 14 laps before they flipped the stage, and then he was mired back in traffic, and all hell broke loose, and he ended up having engine issues towards the end of the race. So he is more than capable, and during the 10 minutes of practice that he jumped into Christopher Bell's car, he actually was fairly quick. So when we look at this, I'm in the impression that Christopher Bell is not going to run this entire race. So a lot of this here does not really flow through. Either way, probably one of the best place differential plays on the board. It's going to be fairly heavily owned. I could also see where you fade this and don't play it, because if all of a sudden Christopher Bell's like, nope, I'm going to run this thing out. It's my car. I'm not getting out. I could see that. I could also see Christopher Bell going, you know what? It's not that important. I want to make sure that I can race the rest of the year without tearing something else up on my wrist. Especially after watching a lot of the carnage that happened over the last 2 days. Does he really want to be part of it? Practice speeds were not great. Number one, first off, he has a hurt wrist. Okay. Understand that. Then, afterwards, this is where Brent Cruz kind of comes out, runs 2 or 3 laps in the average position. So that means he probably should get up to about 18th or 19th. And then, of course, they just tail off at the end. It's typically when they've decided to pit. So with that being said, do I think this is like, oh, we're going to go get a top 10 or a top 5? No, I don't. I think it's probably more along 15th to 20th. So we'll go 17th. I don't even necessarily think we have any fast laps or potential for any laps led. Even if he decides to flip either one of the 2 stages to gain track position, I don't think he ends up getting up close enough to end up flipping it enough to lead laps. So I'm not going to be fast laps. I'm not going to be laps led. I'm just going off a place differential. And I think it's probably about a 17th place finish. So I'm going to lock it in at 47. It's real hit or miss. But I do think Christopher Bell does get out of the car. If he does get out of the car, don't worry. Your lineups aren't screwed. They're not going to go a lap down unless they just have a real issue. But, I mean, they have like 5 to 8 minutes to get a driver change done. They can do that in typically less than a minute. So, not worried about that. Not worried about Brent Cruz getting in the car. He's more than capable of getting and finishing on the lead lap. I mean, that's the other thing. You know how hard it is to go a lap down in this thing? I would put most anybody that's watching this video, and you're not going to go a lap down in the first probably 5 laps. It's 3.4 miles. Even if you run this thing at almost caution speeds, it'll take 2 laps for you to go a lap down. And Brent Cruz is easily more than capable of running that. Like I said, he led 17 laps today in the O'Reilly race. So, yeah, Christopher Bell done. All right, William Byron, who will not need a driver change. At least we don't think so. At least there's no plans for a driver change for William Byron. Starting 27th. I mean, right off the gate, that's pretty good place differential. He was 15th and 18th in practice. This is the concerning part. In the last 5 road courses that we're comparing to, no wins, no top 5s, 2 of 5 in the top 10, 3 of those 5 races top 20, a 21.2 average running position. William Byron needs a good solid day here. He's going to need to find a way to the front. He's going to need to find a top 10 finish. He's definitely one of those that's probably looking for stage points. If there's a lot of flipping of stages going on, William Byron absolutely will try to stay out. Do I think he will be positioned to potentially lead laps? Probably not. But either way, I mean, he's a good road course racer. 15.2 average running position, 2 wins out of 40 starts, 7 top 5s, 16 top 10s. Now, almost half in the top 10, 27 in the top 20. He's starting 27th. His practice speeds were about average, but he's starting, 8 spots worse than average? So let's go put him on the calculator. Do I think he leads a bunch of laps? No. Does he maybe have a fast lap? We'll give him the 1. Do I think he kind of gets in the 16th, 15th place spot? Yeah, maybe. I mean, he has the potential to even get up to a top 10, but I'm more building this out where I think he needs to be. So we'll lock him in at 15th, and we'll continue to move on, or we're going to be here all night. Even though I know this is like the longest DFS breakdown of any show out there. I understand. I know. Chris Buescher, 9,200, starting 16th. His practice speeds were 26 and 20th. Chris Buescher, for the longest time, was like the king of, I'm going to have a top 10 finish in every road course I ever run. And that's kind of fallen off recently. He has not been as consistent at the road courses. He has a win at Watkins Glen over SVG, where he battled SVG. I mean, he's not going to do that with these practice speeds at 26 and 20th and qualifying 16th. And honestly, just kind of looking at it, it follows much more the average line than SVG or Kyle Larson. So let's kind of put it on the calculator here. Chris Buescher. Did we lock William in? Yeah. Chris Buescher here. Yeah, that's the other thing. You always want to hit the lock score, because if you, like, if I go here and I'll just put it here. I'll put it at 4th, and I go to Chase Elliott without locking it in, it goes back to the blank. The other thing is, don't close this window. If you close this window or go somewhere else on the Racing in the Draft website, it erases everything. Just make sure you don't close this window out until you get done. And I'll show you what to do once you get done. But Chris Buescher, I'm going to be hopeful that he gets back to a top 10 finish. But I think that's honestly about as good as it gets. Laps led, I don't think there's going to be many of those. Maybe he gets one fast lap. Yeah, I said, I'm basing this whole story on Shane is going to go out and dominate this race. He's going to embarrass everybody. He's going to win by 15 seconds. It's going to be a lot like Mexico. That's honestly where I'm going to do. Emerson's asleep. Oh, I've done my job. All right, stream's over. You guys have a good night. I got the baby to sleep. Kidding. But I'm glad I was able to help you out. Now let's get down to it. All right, so we locked Chris Buescher in 10th place finish, 1 fast lap, 40.5 points. I mean, that's not a bad score for a road course. I mean, all of these guys so far are getting close to, they're in the core 15, other than Connor Zilic. SVG and Tyler Reddick are the two that are probably close enough to be what I would consider optimal runs. But Chris Buescher, maybe not. But it's going to be more like I'll run him 15% or so. Max of 25. And that'll come in handy when we get to the optimizer. Chase Elliott. I mean, once again, a lot like William Byron. They just kind of unloaded average. I'm sorry. That was Chris Buescher. Let's go to Chase Elliott. Starting in 30th. Ooh. For somebody who has, the third most road course wins, or third most road course wins, in the current era of NASCAR. Now, he doesn't really have that with the next gen car, but prior to the next gen car, Chase Elliott was phenomenal road courses. Then it kind of got turned over to Kyle Larson, and then SVG and Tyler Reddick, and Chase Elliott's been okay, not great. But he does have a 10.6 average running position for the 5 races we're comparing to, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 4 top 20s, and he's starting in 30th. Ton of place differential potential here. No driver change. the Chevys have had struggle with speed, but I mean, SVG isn't a Chevy and he's the fastest. Now, he's also the best road course racer out there, but I guess that could be argumentative. The best road course racer inside this particular vehicle, because we do have a road course ringer in this race. That typically doesn't ever turn out real well, but we'll get to him in a minute. His practice speeds for Chase Elliott, I mean, honestly, they are slower than SVGs, but they look very similar to SVGs. They spike up, they come down, they get a little better. Almost a little more like Kyle Larson's, actually, but just about a second and a half slower. But starting in 30th, Chase Elliott is in a decent spot in the points. He's going to want to flip the stage also. He's going to want to try to gain track position, and he'll come in and get tires early and flip the stage. But that doesn't mean he's necessarily going to lead laps. He's just doing it to potentially move up 5 to 10 spots because of pit stops. So on the calculator for Chase Elliott, 30th, this says an 11th, which, I mean, we'll go to, I mean, I think he potentially gets a top 10, but I don't necessarily put him there. I don't think he leads very many laps. I think he might, he typically is not the guy to go out and get a bunch of fast laps unless he happens to inherit the lead somehow and has clean racetrack. But I don't really see that happening. So I'll give him the 1, but I don't even really think there should be 1. But I think he gets a top 15, maybe even a top 10. So we'll just say a 12th, and it's a 50.5. I mean, that takes him to second on the board. So lock that score in. Now we can go back and look at the rankings, and we see that SVG is up here at 61.7. My second highest driver is Chase Elliott at 50.5. And I'm fine with that. Because once again, the storyline that I'm building for probably half of my lineups is SVG dominates and wins this race. It's what happens behind him that I need to build on. Now, with that being said, Chase Elliott's a very popular driver. Driving for Hendrick. Has 7 road course wins. He's starting in 30th. He's going to be heavily owned. Very, very chalky. Chase Elliott, SVG, and probably William Byron at this point will be 3 extremely chalky drivers. So if you're running in single entry tournaments, small fields, or cash tournaments, those 3 are perfectly fine to play in and potentially play all 3 together. Just with the understanding they're all 3 going to be, probably, in my opinion, very chalky plays. Kyle Larson, starting in 14th. He was first in single lap, 7th in 5-lap consecutive average. He is the other featured driver I'm using for the practice charts. And Kyle Larson's got 5 wins on road courses out of 46 starts, 11 top 5s, 17 top 10s, 29 out of 46 times in the top 20, starting in 14th, 15.8 average finishing position. Recently, though, it's been a little hit or miss. No top 5s, 1 top 10, 2 top 20s, 22.6 average running position. Not great. Mexico really hurt. He did run Sonoma great in 24. He won that race. Last year, not so much. Chicago was Watkins Glen was Coda was So he definitely has had struggles, but I really like his practice speeds a lot. Now, once again, I'm building this out with an SVG win. So, what do I do with Kyle Larson? I think he's probably a top 5, maybe like a 3rd. Do I think he goes out and leads any laps? If he does, it's because he decided not to flip the stage and get some stage points, which potentially for Kyle Larson, he potentially could do. with one of the two stages. So I'll give him 5 laps led and 2 fast laps. Because remember, I only have SVG leading like 38 of the 75 laps. So somewhere there's going to be other drivers that end up filling that in. So I'm going to lock him in at 54.2. The optimal line has dropped down to 50 for somebody who is under $9,000, which I can't believe Kyle Larson's under $9,000. And he's starting in 14th. I mean, Chase Elliott's 9,000. Both these drivers, I think, in my opinion, they should have been more expensive than Bell and Byron and Zillage. But I don't make the pricing. I just use them to my advantage sometimes. All right, Michael McDowell is our next driver in line here, who was absolutely the second fastest guy at Watkins Glen. Now, with that being said, Michael McDowell is extremely good at Watkins Glen. Has always been extremely good at Watkins Glen. Other road courses he's pretty good at. As you can see here, out of the last 5 road courses, he's got 4 top 5s out of 5. A 9.6 average running position. 50 total career starts. He has 1 win, 9 top 5s, 18 top 10s, 32 out of 50 top 20s. And remember, a lot of times, a lot of these races, he was in really bad equipment. And he was still pulling a lot of this off. Michael McDowell is very, very good at road courses. Right now, Spire has got a lot of speed in their race cars. In fact, I would say that Spire has the fastest group of Chevys. The Hendrick guys are right with them, but for some reason, Spire has shown, I think, in my honest opinion, a little bit more speed. And by the way, everybody, if you haven't liked or subscribed, make sure you do that. Also, in the description below is our Discord channel. I try to post a lot of stuff in there, especially a lot of details about a lot of the podcasts, not necessarily that I did, but a lot of the synopsis of Action Judgmental and Door Bumper Clear and Dale Jr. Download and the Teardown and those types of things. And then I do a week review newsletter about those podcasts, and kind of it makes it a little bit more of a short story. It's also on the website. I don't want to go away from the screen that I've got because I don't want to lose it. But there is audio of all of those breakdowns also. So make sure you go and subscribe to the Discord. It is free. And currently right now, for at least the next few weeks, the calculator I will probably always keep for free. The optimizer, I may end up putting that behind a small paywall. Small being like $5, maybe $10. Just because I think there's value in that. I haven't decided yet. So make sure you go use it. If you're in the Discord, I may give the people that are in Discord the rest of the year for free, and then start next year with a small amount. I don't know. I haven't decided. I don't do this to make money, but I also don't do this to lose money either. And there is a fair significant cost to running the AI and running the website and those types of things. So if anything, it's just to recoup a little bit of the cost. Either way, back to Michael McDowell. I mean, he's probably a shoo-in for a good top 10. Does he get up to 5th? I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it does have 4 top 5s in the last 5 races. So maybe even 4th. He's gonna need stage points. So I think he might be one of the first cars that decides to stay out. I think it all depends on what type of speed he's got in that first stage. But I'm going to pencil him in for 4 laps led and 2 fast laps. And a 4th place finish. So at this point, we're up to what? 42, 43, 44 laps for the leaders that have been led, which leaves us about 30 laps out in the wild. And honestly, I think SVG may get a lot of those, but I put SVG in enough, but I don't need to put any more into him. So we've got Michael McDowell locked in at a 46.9. All right. Chase Briscoe, next in line here. 8,600 starting in 22nd. Practice speeds were pretty much right there, 23rd and 28th in 5 lap. For the 5 races we're comparing to, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 3 top 20s. A 14.6 average running position, 32 total starts on road courses, an 18th place finish. His practice speeds were slightly better than average to average. Starting in 22nd, yeah, I think he's probably in for probably a middle teens type of finish. Maybe like a, six, what is that doing? Like a 14th. Don't think he leads any laps. We'll give him a 1 fast lap, which takes him to about a 38.5. I'm not expecting a whole lot out of Chase Briscoe other than maybe just a good solid day. I mean, he could easily get a lot better. He could get up 7th, and that puts him in the optimal. And, you have access to the calculator. You can kind of put him wherever you're at. I'm going to put him at 14th, and I'm going to lock it in. All right, next in line here is A.J. Allmendinger, the old road course ringer, who is actually still pretty good at road courses, to say the least. Out of the last 5 road courses, all finished in the top 20, 3 top 10s, a 10.6 average running position. Out of his 52 total career starts, 3 wins, 9 top 5s, 27 out of 52. So half the time he's finishing in the top 10, 38 of 52 in the top 20, a 14.5 average running position. He's starting 15th. New road courses, better than average. I think kind of penciling him in as like a 12th place finish. It's kind of where I'm kind of leaning towards. He does need stage points as much as he needs a top 10. So it's going to have to be one of those. It's going to have to be a wait and see to kind of see where he thinks he's going to finish. I could easily see him potentially being one of the guys that stays out. I'll give him 2 laps led, 1 fast lap, 36 points, 12th place finish. We'll lock it in there. Ryan Blaney quietly almost got the pole for a while there, other than until I think the last 2 or 3 corners, he was as fast as SVG. I mean, he led some laps this year at road courses. I mean, he's got some decent speed in this 12 car. It for the Fords that don't have any speed at all when we go to ovals. They are decent. The Fords are decent at road courses. I mean, Front Row Motorsports definitely brought some fast cars. We'll get to them shortly, but they put some blistering laps out there. But Ryan Blaney, 8,300, starting in 3rd. His practice speeds were, average 18th, 17th on 5 lap. And over the last 5 races, 1 top 10, 4 top 20. So that's really doesn't show that he did as well as we want. I think starting 3rd, though, for Ryan Blaney is still probably a little more than, I think he may have outkicked his coverage a little bit, especially when it comes to, they still seem to be struggling with their pit crew. They're better. They're still not all that great. Honestly, I think he kind of hovers around the top 10 all day, ends up with an 8th place finish. Maybe he does lead a few laps here and there. 1 fast lap. I'm going to lock him at 32.3. I don't love the play. I could see him being sneaky, though. So if you're going to run a lineup without an SVG in it, like I said, I'm going to run probably half my lineups with an SVG. If I'm doing that, it's going to be hard to take much of anybody else that's starting in the top 5. There are some scenarios where you could build with a 1st and a 3rd or 1st and a 4th but because place differential is going to be so valuable, it just is pretty tough. Famous says, where is everybody from that's watching the live stream? You're always curious to know where everybody's from. Yeah, I mean, hit me up in the chat. Where are you from? I know Man's down south. Hope is down south. Good week to bet some long shots. Top Toyota Ford drivers. If you think they wreck. Yeah, there are definitely some interesting Ford plays. I mean, I think Reddick's probably still going to be. I don't know. There's another 2311 driver out there that I'm pretty intrigued with, and he is going to be there full time next year. He could potentially steal the top Toyota spot. Andrew's from Cincinnati. Welcome. Are you a Reds fan? My son likes the Reds. He likes who's the shortstop? Speedy Gonzalez, whatever his name is. That's one of my son's favorites. Okay, Denny Hamlin's not finishing first. Let's this thing did not populate correctly. Let's not even pretend here. Even Denny Hamlin's like, yeah, that's not happening. But yeah, so Ryan Blaney, did we finish Ryan Blaney yet? Yeah, we locked Ryan Blaney at a fifth. Yeah, I'm fine with that. All right, Denny Hamlin, starting 26th, practiced 14th and 22nd. I mean, he is on a 3-race win streak. I mean, I can't believe he's got Tyler Reddick. I mean, I thought it was over and done with. I thought Tyler Reddick having 126 point lead at some point earlier this year. Tortured Cincinnati's. Yeah, hey, I'm a Washington football fan, so don't talk about torture. I'm right there with you. We had our heydays back in the early 80s, and since then it's been just a rough go. Now my baseball team, on the other hand, they're pretty good. But Denny Hamlin, $8,200, starting 26. Denny Hamlin, the one thing I will say about his road course abilities is most of the time he can keep his car fairly clean. I say that, and tomorrow he'll knock down one of the walls like Sam Mayer did today. But 26, we've got some potential positions, but then you look at his practice speeds. Holy crap. He goes from a 40.8 to a 149.5. 8-second fall off all the way. He definitely made some really bad corners. Down to a 139. And then all the way down to a 138. He's all over the board. But he's smart enough to keep his car typically fairly clean at these road courses and keep himself out of too much trouble. So yeah, see, like I said, you go away from it for 1 second and it'll clear itself out. I don't think he leads any laps. I mean, there's a potential maybe he does not flip a stage and maybe ends up leading a couple laps here or there, but I'm going to kind of put him in as a 14th place finish, starting 26, no fast laps, no laps led, and just lock it in as a 14th. He's $8,200. I mean, I think it's fine. 42 points. That may be. I think it's probably good. He could do a little better. He might get a little worse. Oh, we'll go with the averages here. Oops, I didn't fix that. All right, here is our what they used to call the road course ringer. They would bring in from outside. Kevin Magnuson, F1 driver. just a few years ago. And actually, fairly decent road course driver. He drove for Stewart Haas Racing, or for Haas Racing in F1 just a couple years ago. Really, I mean, all they do is run road courses. Now, full-bodied stock cars, that always has a tendency to throw these guys for a little bit of a loop. So do what you want. I do not think this is the next SVG. Let's just start there. Practice speeds, because we don't have any data on him. So let's just look at his practice speeds. At least when SVG came out and ran his first laps at Chicago, all of a sudden he was one of the faster guys in practice. And it was like, is that a fluke? What is that? How did he do that? Well, it's because he was running supercars in Australia and New Zealand. And that car is extremely similar to the next gen car. Well, Kevin Magnussen is coming from open wheel F1 style races to a super heavy stock race car, full body. Will Kevin figure out exactly the correct apexes and those types of things? Yes. Will he be able to figure out how to slow that car down and do it correctly? I don't know. I honestly am just going to put him where he starts because I don't know what else to do with him. He could potentially surprise us all and get a top 10. Most of the time when we've seen these F1 style, open wheel style drivers show up in NASCAR, it's a struggle. I mean, Joey Hand, I think, finally had a good race at COTA one year. A little bit of that was a little bit of attrition, but it was also like his fourth or fifth attempt in a stock car. Plus, he'd had some, Indy style open wheel races experience, so that helped. Where Magnussen doesn't have that yet, and until he has a few more races under his belt and a full size stock car, and I think 21st is being nice, to be honest. So we're gonna lock it in at 22. I honestly think it's probably more like a 25th to 30th, but he is actually a really, really good road course racer. He might be one of the best road course racers in the field, but just not in this style car. Now, if we were to take all the NASCAR drivers and put them in open wheel F1 style cars, Kevin's probably going to school the field. It's just two completely technically different type of vehicles. They just don't race the same. So, all right, Ross Chastain next on the board, starting 23rd. His practice speeds were 32nd and 33rd. And then goes and qualifies 23rd. Over the last 5 road courses, you think having SVG as your teammate and having Connor Zilic as your teammate, a little something would rub off on Ross on road courses. Ross is not a bad road course racer. He's had some bad luck on road courses lately. He had a win at COTA, 4 years ago? 37 total starts. It's 17.6 average finish, starting 23rd. His practice speeds were about average to worse than average, then slightly better than average, but not. It's probably 20th place finish. So I'm actually going to bump him down to about 20th. Definitely not going to have any fast laps or laps led, so knock those out. Yeah, it's about a 26 points for the day. Ryan Preece next in line here, $7,700. I think he was even shocked on how well he qualified. During his interview, he was kind of like, the car was just really well balanced. And I hit the corners just right, and I ended up qualifying 7th. Mid teens type of driver. His average finish on road courses, he's never finished in the top 5, only 4 times in the top 10 out of 31 total starts. He's not a road course guy. 19.9 average finish. 13.2 average running position for the 5 races we're comparing to. Okay. 17th and 15th. Practice speeds were average. I don't see anything that's like all the way down here in the 136 range. The lowest he gets is 138.3. And he qualified 7th. I don't like the play at all. I think, honestly, it's at best an 18th place finish and 15 points. That's where I'm going to go. Daniel Suarez, next in line here, who actually is fairly decent at road courses. He's had some bad luck on road courses and had some good luck on road courses. He won Mexico last year in the Xfinity race. I think that was just sheer will and desire. You know, the conspiracy theories out there probably go, oh, it was all set up because he's from Mexico and it's a Mexico race. Whatever. He won Sonoma a couple years ago. I mean, he finishes halftime in the top 20. He qualified 6th. The Spire cars definitely show speed. All of them qualified in the top 10. But his practice speed's 33rd in single lap, 12th in 5 lap. They definitely may have figured something out from practice to qualifying because they did have about, 20 hours in between. And they could make some decent changes, but it's about average, to be honest. So starting in 6, I'm going to pencil him in for like a 11th. Just because Spire does have a little bit of speed. I could see Suarez potentially being one of the guys that stays out through the stage to get the stage points. And he's starting close enough in 6th that he could be one of the guys that actually does end up having a few laps led because of the stage flipping. But then he falls, I think, probably to 11th. Maybe even further back than that, but I'll give him an 11th. It's not going to put him into a position where I use a whole lot of him. He might be a sneaky pick for a few lineups. Joe Logano will be next on the board here, 7,400, starting in 19th. I mean, if this were an oval and it was the first time we were racing at this track on an oval, I would potentially give it to Joey Logano because that's what Joey Logano likes to go do, is win inaugural races at ovals. But this is a road course, so let's get real. And I've already built the storyline that SVG is going to literally just stomp the living crud out of everybody in the field. And his practice speeds for Logano are most of the time worse than average. After some adjustments, he was okay. And then he qualifies 19th. His average finish is 14.7. Average running position is 18.8. 1 top 10, no top 5s, 3 top 20s. I think he probably finishes where he starts. So we'll give him a 17th. I don't think he leads any laps. I don't think he has any fast laps. We'll pencil him in 29.0 and move on. That I think it's just about as good as it gets for him. Alex Bowman, starting in 20th. I had a dream last night that Connor Zilic was named for the 48, and then the 48 was on the free market. I have no idea why I dreamed it, but I did. It was weird. So if all of a sudden this week it comes out that Connor Zilic is moving over to the 48, I will have to start really thinking about my dreams. But 7,300 starting in 20th. His practice speeds were 10th in single lap, 25th in 5 lap average. 18.4 average running position for the 5 races we're comparing to. 1 top 5, 2 top 10s. And it was Coda earlier this year that he ended up having all the issues that caused him to miss all those races. 15.1 average running position. He won Coda 2 years ago over SVG after SVG wrecked in the rain. So SVG is not always perfect, and that's why I don't just lock him in 100% of the time for all of my lineups. You can do that if you want. I still think there's too many variables out there to lock somebody in 100% for my lineups. Now, in my single entry lineups, most of them I will have SVG, so I guess I will lock them in on single entries. But other than that, no, probably not. At least in the big field tournaments. Alex Bowman, slightly better than average for most of the run, starting average. So I think he maybe improves a couple of spots. Starting in, nope, that's locked. Alex Bowman, 20th. 18th, not sure he leads any laps, not sure he has any fast laps. It's kind of where I'm going to put him. 28 points on the DraftKings model calculator. Austin Cindric, next in line here, starting in 31st. Austin Cindric's real hit or miss. Some days he's really good at road courses, and some weeks he's not so good at road courses. This seems to be a week where he's not that good at a road course. His practice speeds were 37th in single lap, 26th in 5-lap consecutive average. Over the 5 races we're comparing to, 1 top 10, no top 5s, 2 top 20s, a 23.2 average running position, 29 career starts on road courses, 3 top 5s, 10 top 20 or 10 top 10s, the 16.7 average running position. Let's look at his practice speeds. He was at 154 when he first came out and got better towards the end. And better than average, and then worse than average. Good Lord, he was really slow coming out of the gate. He must have thought he had an issue going on. Or I think he actually spun at some point in that lap. Maybe that's what it was. So yeah, even when we get down here, he's better than average than worse than average. Starting in 31st, I think it's more like a 22nd place finish. We'll go to 22nd. No laps led, no fast laps. I mean, it puts him to 30. I mean, that's better than the last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drivers I've had. So, I'll have, 10 to 15% of Austin Cindric. All right, next in line here, Carson Chaos Hurricane Hocevar, whatever you want to call him. It's all over the board. This track definitely does not like aggression. If anybody's watched the Truck or O'Reilly race, aggression is not your friend at this track. And Carson Hocevar is always on the edge, always driving aggressive. I think he burns the crap out of his tires, first off. Number 2, I think he will knock the wall down in every corner. And he's starting in second. I have absolutely zero interest whatsoever. Over the last 5 races, road courses we're comparing to, an average running position of 32, minus 8.2 DraftKings average, minus 8.2 on the average. Over 14 total starts on road courses, 1 top 5, which was at Watkins Glen when half the field was wrecked by the end of that race. But I think on lap 1 or 2, half the field was wrecked. It was absolutely just an attrition race that he just happened to get lucky with a pit stop. Beyond that, he sucks at road courses. I have absolutely no interest in Carson Hocevar starting in second. And like I said, his practice speeds, he fired off fine, then kind of got bad, then he came out and got better. Just all over the place. But starting in second, I think at best it's 23rd. Definitely not. I'm not even going to put any laps led. He's starting in second. I'm not even going to have any laps led. I'll give him 3 fast laps because he loves to just burn the living crap out of his tires. Yeah, it's a 0.4. That's where I'm locking him in at. I just have absolutely zero interest in running that. Corey Heim could potentially be my pick for the top Toyota finisher tomorrow. As a long shot. I think actually Ty Gibbs may be the top Toyota finisher. But I think Corey Heim could be very sneaky. Yes, Heim could be extremely sneaky. He was 6th in single lap, 10th in 5-lap consecutive average. This is his first road course start. This is a tough one to start at. But he's sneaky good on road courses. He's sneaky good all the way around. Look at his practice speeds. They are real close to SVG Kyle Larson-esque through practice. Extremely sneaky. Starting in 13th. The experience is going to be the part that I just go, ugh. I'm going to pencil him in for a 7th. It could be worse, could be better. I don't know. I'm not going to... He care less about stage points. He's literally just going for the win. So I don't think he flips the stage to gain track position. He's running. He's going to literally just want to run in the top 10 all day. And if he has an opportunity at the end, great. If not, I think it's probably somewhere just close to this top 10. But yeah, I'm going to lock him in at 43 points. Next in line here is Brad Keselowski. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button. We do this every Saturday night. As long as weather permits, the O'Reilly race doesn't last until midnight, and those types of things. So most of the time, Saturday nights at 9 o'clock. We are coming up to some wonky vacation schedule stuff, so we'll cover that as we get closer. Definitely join the Discord. I'll be posting about times and those types of things there. I'll also put notes in the community section on YouTube. But Brad Keselowski, $6,600, starting in 29th. Last 5 races we're comparing to, his practice speeds were 35th and 36th. Ooh, really good. Not so good. For the last 5 road courses, 2 top 20s, a 24.6 average running position, 56 total starts. He's never won on a road course, and only 7 out of 56 times he's finished in the top 5, 11 out of 56 in the top 10. Not looking for a whole lot here. His practice speeds were not great. Maybe he's able to flip something in a stage and gain a few track positions. I think it's more like a 24th place finish. No laps led, no fast laps. Yep. Just going to put him there and leave it. Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace actually showed some decent speed. For somebody who says they're not very good at road course racing. 20th in single lap, 9th in 5-lap consecutive average, 21.2 average running position over the 5 races we're comparing to, 21.6 average finish. And honestly, I think that's probably close to where he ends up kind of finishing and running most of the day. Practice speeds, there's nothing on here that really jumps out at me other than he was a little slow, which makes me kind of think we're probably right by putting him in about a 20th. Don't think he leads any laps. It's just finish the race type of a day from there. If he happens to gain a little bit more, maybe he gets up to 17th or even maybe sniffs a top 10. But I think, honestly, if all things just kind of happen, I think it's probably 20th. So we'll lock it in there. Everybody's favorite, Zane Smith. Starting in 4th, though. I mean, all the front row guys actually had decent speed in practice. Qualified 4th. guess his practice speeds weren't that great. 22nd in single lap, 34th in 5-lap consecutive average. And he comes out and blisters a 4th place qualifying effort. I mean, I will say the times that Zane Smith starts up front, he tends to stay up there, just not on road courses. If this were Chandler Smith, I'd be a little more interested. And Zane and Chandler are not related as far as anybody knows. They just happen to share the last name Smith. 16 total starts to road courses, 1 top 5/top 10, 8 top 20s, starting in 4th. I mean, I think it's probably more like a 22nd, 23rd place finish, but because he qualified pretty well and they showed average speed, I'll give him like a 19th. No, I'm going to put him at 21st. It's not a good play. Not as bad as Hurricane Hocevar, but yeah, I mean, and if anybody's looking to pay back Hocevar, this type of road course is easily how he gets paid back. So that's another thing to think about with Carson Hocevar. And there's lots of people who want to pay back Hocevar at this point. Eric Jones, and if anybody in the chat knows what and why Legacy Motor Club unloaded so god awful, please throw it in the chat, because I have not been able to figure out why they are so slow. And when I mean slow, like they're Cody Ware slow. 39th in single lap, 39th in 5-lap consecutive average for Eric Jones. I mean, after coming off of 4 top 10 finishes on the last 4 ovals, I would have thought they would have had at least a semblance of speed, because it's not like Eric Jones is, I mean, he's not great at road courses by any means. 24.8 average running position, 2 top 20s, no top 10s, 42 total starts, 9 top 10s, 21 top, half the time he's finishing in the top 20. It's not Cody Ware slow. This is Cody Ware slow. This is bad. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to dig before I just pull a trigger. I mean, great potential place differential play, but when you look at this is going to get you the same result that Brad Keselowski got last week, where you start 38th and you finish 37th. This isn't good. I mean, he's at best speeds, he's 3.5 seconds slower than the field. Once again, he's not going to get lapped, but he's going to finish pretty much where he starts, unless we just have an absolute annihilation of a race. I'm going to put it as the 30th place. I mean, maybe they flip a stage. Maybe they find whatever's broken or wrong with their cars. And if that's the case, I'll improve this a little bit. But this play just stinks as much as stink gets. Jones mentioned that the visual cues were challenging because most every corner layout looked identical, 90-degree turn, making it tough to establish rhythm. I mean, well, right. So, but it's still, that leaves him back in 30th when he was in the simulator for the race. Yeah, and I could, yes. I have not bought the track on iRacing because I'm not that good at road courses. And it's like $13 or $14, and I'll never race on it. So I've watched a lot of laps on iRacing from other guys, and the visuals on there are a little bit different than what they actually showed up at the track, at least for braking spots and those types of things. What's up, Flint, Michigan? How's the water up there? Did they fix that yet? Hopefully they did. If not, I guess you drink a lot of bottled water. I'm kidding. I know it's been an issue up there. 38th to 30th. Yeah, I think 30th probably. I mean, if they're struggling with finding the apex of corners, finding braking spots, and those types of things, it's literally just hold on to what you've got and just hope for some attrition, which I think ends up being a 30th. So maybe it gets to like a 27th, but I'm honestly going to put it a 30th and just call it a day and just say, okay, they're out to lunch. Now Austin Hill, on the other hand, was on fire today. What a great run by Austin Hill all day, running in the top 5. Had top 5 speed in Xfinity, qualified in the top 5, finished first. He showed up with this car. So that's the other thing is Austin Hill is one of the only drivers that was allowed to run the double, or run another race. Jimmy Johnson was another driver that was allowed to run multiple races. They did not want drivers double dipping, triple dipping, those types of things. Austin Hill was not slated to do that. After Kyle passed away, they gave an exemption for Austin Hill to run both. And boy, that may have been a mistake because Austin Hill was really good today. Now, Austin Hill's aggression level potentially could get him into a little bit more trouble on the Cup side. That would be the concerning part. And he said he was going out for some drinks tonight. So, well, luckily enough, San Diego's got pretty tempered weather, and it's not going to be blistering hot there tomorrow. It's supposed to be like 70, just like it's been all week, just like it is every day out there. I just would love to have San Diego weather, just not the cost of San Diego to live in. But that's part of the reason why it's so expensive to live there, because it's always just beautiful. But yeah, I mean his speeds are real, and he's pretty. Austin not somebody you go, oh yeah, he's really good at road courses. He actually is pretty good at road courses. I'm going to leave him for a top 10. And I mean, for $6,000, if you can get just a top 10 finish, yeah, and he is not concerned about stage points. He's not concerned about any of that. He's going to flip stages. He's going to do whatever he can to just hold and maintain a top 10 finishing spot, because that will go a long way for him to secure him being potentially in that car for next year. And I mean, rumor has it Noah Gragson may be coming over and driving that 33 car. That would be interesting. That would really piss Austin Hill off. I think Austin Hill really wants this ride. And if he can go get a couple of top 5 and top 10s the next couple of weeks, he might be able to secure himself a ride over there. That would be interesting. But yeah, I think this is just a good solid top 10 finish, maybe better. But I mean, a 36.5, I mean, that puts him, I mean, go to the rankings real quick. Where does that put Austin Hill? That puts him 13th. So that may put him in my top 15 core. Todd Gilliland, another front row guy. At least his average finishes are better than Zane Smith's, everybody's favorite. I know. I like Zane too, but I don't like him starting where he is. And I'm not sure. Now, at least Todd Gilliland showed really good practice speeds. 2nd in single lap, 5th in 5 lap. But we look at the averages here. He's got one top 20 for the 5 races, last road courses we're comparing to. 24th place average running position. 26 total starts, 1 top 5. Starting 5th, he needs to finish in the top 5. 5 top 10s out of 26. Okay, it's not good either. Not even half the time is he finishing in the top 20, but a 19.8 average finish. like I said, his practice speeds were really good. I'm gonna say okay, and he's gonna be one of the guys that actually ends up kind of finishing close to there, and we'll go in 8th. But I don't think he leads any laps or has any fast laps. But that's 33 points. I mean, that puts him right at about 15th. I'm gonna lock it in. Ty Gillen could be sneaky to start up front, stay up front with Austin Hill. Once again, John Hunter Nemechek, 28th. I mean, he's right there with Jones. The legacy cars just did not unload with much of any speed. The 5 races we're comparing to, at least John Hunter's got a little bit better history. 2 top 10s for the 5 races, 15.2 average running position, 15 total starts, 2 top 5s, 4 top 20s, 22.7. Still not great. Better than Eric Jones. Maybe they figure out what's wrong with these guys and he can improve slightly. But I'm only gonna give it probably 19th. Yeah, I mean, I'll just do what his averages are. No laps led, no fast laps. Yeah, we'll put him in 34 points. Don't love it, don't hate it. I don't know. I like it better than I like Eric Jones. There's 10 extra spots with Eric Jones. I just don't think he makes any of that up. Riley Herbst, 24th in qualifying, 13th in single lap, 27th in 5 lap consecutive average. Over the 5 races we're comparing to, 1 top 20. Womp womp. 24th place average running position, 8 total starts on road courses, 2 top 20s, a 23.9 average finish. And guess what? He's starting 24th. And his practice speeds show why. Every once in a while, he'll blink off a fast lap and then it will just go away. So honestly, I'm going to finish where you start. 19 points. Move on to Austin Dillon, next in line here. I mean, Austin Dillon didn't even have as much speed as Austin Hill. Man, how confusing is that got to be? Talking around the shop. Austin. 18th in qualifying, 27th in single lap, 23rd in 5 lap consecutive average, 1 top 10, 2 top 20s for the 5 races we're comparing to, a 22.8 average finish, has 0 top 5s ever in his career on road courses, 3 top 10s, 21 top 20s. I mean, at least he's almost half the time he finishes top 20. Starting in 18th, practice speeds were not that great. Honestly, I'm going to put it finish where you start. 18th to 18th, 26 points. Locked in. Josh Berry, next in line here. Does anybody remember how good Josh Berry was at Chicago street course? Narrow course. It wasn't pretty. And his practice speeds were not pretty for this week. 34th and 32nd. He's out of this ride. Oh, if Noah does end up going over to RCR, maybe Josh Berry goes in and goes to the 4. Maybe. I honestly, because I think Josh Berry is a little bit on the older side, I could potentially see Josh Berry being relegated back down to the O'Reilly series. I hate that for him, but I think that's actually honestly a better spot for him. I think he would enjoy it more. He would be able to run better. He could go help a small team really kind of build out, or maybe even go back to his buddy Junior Motorsports and run with Junior for a couple years. I mean, I hate that. I like Josh a lot, but this experiment at the 21 car. And I almost feel bad for Love going into this car. It's just been cursed ever since Ryan Blaney left it. They just haven't been good. I mean, they've had a couple one-offs, Daytona win, those types of things. But Josh Berry, I think at best it's a 29th place finish, and that's going to be generous. He's not a road course guy. I think 29th is being extremely generous. Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson was one of the few that got to run the truck race and was actually leading laps until he wasn't. And then it just got bad. He got mired back in the muck, and he found out how mucky the muck is, and I think he ended up getting spun 2 or 3 times. And boy, was he just like, what is this? This is awful. These kids don't know how to drive to save their life. He was just blown away at the lack of skill and craft in the muck. And it really is. It's like a swamp of muck and junk. But Jimmy Johnson, at least in the trucks, fired off pretty quick. Not so much in the Cup car. Very, very similar to what, and this is, Matt, you talked about Jones mentioning the issues with the visuals. The problem is Jimmy Johnson on Friday ran the trucks and led laps and was in contention for a little bit till he had a bad pit stop, and then it just he got off pit cycle and got stuck back in the muck. So Jimmy Johnson's got speed. He knows the corners, but his car just does not have any speed. And for the Toyotas to be doing this, it's really weird. So I think I think I'm going to pay real close attention tomorrow morning to see if they have figured out, maybe they brought the wrong gear. They have something in their steering not correct. Something in the setup is just not right with Legacy. And if I can't find anything that says they found something, I'm just going to relegate them to, finishing in the back and just get lucky with some attrition. So, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., not a good road course racer. His total career, he has 2 top 10s, no top 5s. Now, half the time he finishes in the top 20. Half the time. 22.1 average running position, starting 33rd. Practice speeds were not good. This isn't real pretty, other than his price tag. I think it's probably 25th. We'll lock it in, and we'll move on. If we look at his practice speeds, like I said, they're not good. 150 seconds when everybody's running 140. 10 seconds off the pace for a few laps. Not pretty. Noah Gragson, another one who, as bad as Josh Berry is at road courses, Noah Gregson's right there with him. In the last 5 racers comparing to, no top 20s. 28.2 average running position. Starting in 32nd. Practice speeds 31st. Single lap, 35th, and 5-lap consecutive average. 17 total starts. 1 top 10. 4 top 20s. A 22.6 average running position. It's not pretty. Or an average finish. And practice speeds. At least he had 3 or 4 or 5 laps that he actually had some decent speed. Of all the front row guys, Noah actually showed the practice speeds of where I thought everybody else should have been, and qualified where I thought he should be. Now, can he maybe miss some attrition? Maybe make up some ground? Maybe. I think 22nd, 23rd is probably about right. We'll kind of go there and lock it in, and we'll continue to move on. Cole Custer, 4,800. Cole Custer quietly, at least on the ovals, kind of like the Toyotas, like Legacy, quietly has been pretty consistent. Now, he's not getting the top 5 or 10s that Legacy's getting, but he's getting average, finishing in the top 15. At least Cole Custer is moderately good at road courses. He was actually really good at road courses in the O'Reilly series, / Xfinity series. It's been kind of hit or miss, but 4,800 starting in 25th. I think it's like a 18th, 19th place finish. 31 points. We'll lock him in and kind of continue to move on. We're at the 2 hour mark. I want to get this finished up because we also have to put everything in the optimizer real quick and see what it spits out. Because we've never used that optimizer, it's a little wonky, and I'm still actually getting used to it because I've always enjoyed just hand building. And I just don't know if I fully trust optimizers, even though I just built one. I mean, I trust what it's building. A lot of times you just can't really fully see exactly what you got. So Matt, Daniel, if you guys are good at optimizers, let me know. Because I need to learn so I can teach it on here. Or maybe have one of you guys come in and help me. But I built it. And I know it works. I just haven't quite figured out how to use all of it. Ty Dillon, 4,700, starting 34th. 16th in single lap, 19th in 5 lap consecutive average. 3 top 20s in the last 5 races we're comparing to. 23.8 average running position. No top 10s in his entire career on road courses, but 10 out of 33 times in the top 20. I think it's kind of, yeah, he's kind of all over the place. That's pretty normal for Ty Dillon practice. 26th. Pencil in and go from there. Cody Ware. 39th starting spot. 24th and 29th in 5 lap consecutive average. Average finish. He's never finished in the top 20 ever on road courses out of 22 starts. He averages a 29.9, so a 30th place average running or average finish. And for the 5 racers we're comparing to, an average running position of 31.6. Practice speeds. I mean, at least I'll give him credit. He got 12 laps of practice in. I mean, that's more than some of the guys out there. And I've always said, if they just start practicing more, maybe they can shake whatever they got going on. Yeah, I think it's a 30th. More like a 31st. All right, we'll lock that score in. Okay. That is all the drivers. That is everything. Let's go and look at our rankings. All right. So our rankings are SVG, Kyle Larson, both showing optimal. Chase Elliott, probably for his price tag at 50.5, probably is optimal. But we're also running into an issue of 13,000, 9,000, or 8,900 and 9,000. Tyler Reddick right behind him at 10,200. That gets real expensive real quick, and that doesn't leave you a whole lot of salary left for the other 3 drivers. Now, we've got Corey Heim down here at 6,800 that you could probably fit in. Denny Hamlin at 8,200. Austin Hill at 6,000. So, I mean, there are some options to potentially build it out. All right, so we go to the optimizer. So how many lineups do we want to run? We'll keep it simple. We'll just do 20. I mean, we can do more. We'll do 60. But you put the salary minimum in that you want. So let's go look at the last 4 road courses optimals. See where the price tags fell. We had 2,000 left here, so that'd be 4,800, $200, 300, 800. So 4,800 was kind of where on the low end. So we'll go minimum salary 4,800, max salary 50,000. How diverse do you want your lineups to be? A variance is 25%. You can go all the way up to 100. You can go all the way down to 0. I want it to be somewhat variable here, so we'll kind of go in the 50% range. You guys chime in on this. I don't really know what this max stud thing is, other than because you can't run 6 studs in there. I'd say you have to at least leave 400 on the table, something like that. That way you don't get too many duplicate lineups. Will it actually duplicate? I didn't think the optimizer would actually duplicate your lineups. Or are you talking about duplicate lineups compared to the other people out there? Yeah, we'll bump the max salary down to 4,700. Yeah, I mean, I definitely would love for you guys to kind of go in here. Yeah, chalky line. Okay, I see what you're saying. So 4,900. I don't really know what the max stud thing is. I've got to ask the AI what it means by this. It told me the last time. That have a high chance to being duplicated if they're maxed out. I see what you're saying. Minimum value or max manufactured. I don't know what these lines are. I don't know why I put it out there. I have not screwed with these when I built my truck and Xfinity. Now I think this is what it's saying is how many minimum values do I want to make sure are in there. I would say 1. Max manufacturer 6. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind if the lineups happen to all be Chevy or happen to all be Toyotas, especially right now, the Toyotas, I wouldn't mind that at all. All right, either way. So if you want to lock a driver in, that will mean he's 100% locked in for all 60 lineups. I did learn that one. Exclude means they will not show up in any of your lineups. So, with that being said, you can also put in a percentage of ownership of what you think the field is going to run at. The way I've been doing it is I've been running minimum maximums over here. So the minimum I'm going to run SVG is 50%, max 60%. Okay, I'll bump him down to 45. So 45 to 60. Then, let's see. Family Man says minimum value means how many value drivers you want in your lineup that are under $6,000. I mean, I think probably because of how expensive SVG is, there's going to at least need to be 1 or 2. But I don't want to be just locked into that if all of a sudden it can run a couple $7,000 guys. I don't want it to exclude a 6,300, 6,400. I don't know. I'll put 1. Okay, so man says so put minimum at 1 and max at 2. So 2 on the value because it says also MFR, which I think is manufacturers. Max is the other one. Okay. I mean, I don't mind having 3. We'll go 2. I'll go with what you said. All right. So I want to run SVG between 45 and 60%. I'm fine with that. Kyle Larson, I've always done just kind of a 15% variable between these guys whenever I do it. So if I want my minimum to be 40, I'll go up to 55. Chase Elliott, 40, 55. Now, of course, if you want to run a driver more or less, you just move that scale up and down. Tyler Reddick, 35 to 50. This is what I did for both my truck and a rally race. And the lineups looked fairly good. The race did not turn out very good. So, Bell, 35 to 50. Michael McDowell starting in P9. I'm going to bump that down to like 25 to 40. Ty Gibbs, 25 to 40. So then I go, guys I want to exclude. Actually, I'm going to exclude Carson Hocevar. I'm going to exclude Zane. I don't like the Bubba spot. I don't like the Ryan Priest spot. I do not like the Cody Ware spot. Josh Berry, don't like. Riley Herbst, don't like. Jimmy Johnson, maybe a little bit. Maybe Eric Jones. I do not like the Kevin Magnuson play. Ty Dillon, maybe. Brad K, maybe. Connor, maybe. Stenhouse, maybe he's fine. Austin Dillon starting 18th. Don't love it. I'm not going to completely exclude him. Yeah, everybody else seems to be okay. I may not run them a whole lot. So we'll just kind of keep on filling out this. This is Corey Heim. I really like the Corey Heim play. So 30 to 45. Denny, I don't love the Denny play other than his place differential. So 20 to 35. William Byron, 20, 35. Busher, 15 to 30. Briscoe, 15 to 30. Austin Hill, 10 to 25. AJ, don't love AJ. Starting spot, we'll go 10 25 there also. John Hunter. Don't love the John Hunter play because I don't know about what's going on with Legacy. We'll go 5 20. And does this look like what I should be doing? Man, the Todd Gillen play is really sneaky, but I'm going to only keep it at like 5 to 10%. Let's keep it very, very minimal. Blaney, kind of the same thing. I'll go 10 to 20% with him. Cole Custer starting in 25th, 10 to 20. Austin Cindric, 10 to 20 also. Suarez starting a little too far up for me, 5 to 15. Joe Legato, 10 to 25. Noah, don't love that one either, 5 to 15. Bowman, that one could be a little better, 15 to 25. Russ, 10 to 20. Austin Dillon, 5 to 15. Yeah, looks about right. Okay, good. Ricky Stenhouse, 10 to 5 to 10. 5 to 15. Connor Zillich. This one scares the living Jesus out of me. Brad, 10 to 20. Actually, I want to move this to 20. Ty Dillon, 5 to 15. Excluded Kevin Magnuson. Eric Jones. I just don't have a clue with any of these legacy guys. Same thing with Jimmy Johnson. I'm going to run him 10 to 20. All right, that's everybody. All right, so what I've been doing, like I said, this is the first weekend I've been running it. I just click on, I've got the 60 lineups, I've got the minimum, maximum salary, I've got the variance, the leverage percentage, fade chalk by ownership percentage, and I didn't put any of that in here. Even though I think you could put in here what you think SVG is probably going to be 60% owned. Yeah, I think this is, if we get enough people using the calculator, it will start to build a database of percentages, and that's how roto grinders and the guys that have people, 2, 3, 400 people using their optimizers, it'll start to track how much their ownership is, and that's how the ownership gets built. And it's just, and then it typically follows with what actually ends up being, but I don't have that information. If you happen to have a subscription to one of those guys and can you pull the ownership, you can put that in here. And then you could use the leverage. So at that point, I'm just going to hit build lineups. It says it built 54 of 60 lineups. Constraints limited to unique pool. Minimum exposure not fully met. Connor Zilic, 0 of 6. William Byron, 5 of 12. Chris Buescher, so it didn't build out all of my lineups. I guess that means I would need to increase percentages of the guys that are less expensive. If you only play like 20 lineups, you want to have some drivers at 0% so that you keep a tight core and don't spread yourself too thin. Just from my experience, more lineups you do with more drivers you put in your pool. Okay. I think I follow that. But this built out 54 of 60 lineups. So I didn't build out all of my lineups. Constraints are limited to the unique pool. So I guess that means I need to increase the price of some of the cheaper drivers. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can go 10. Oops. Or do I just go less percentage and more max? Bump that to 20, 25, 25, 25, 20. I said I'm brand new to using optimizers. So we're going to learn together. How's that? 30, 25, 20, 20, 25, 25, 20, 25. All right, let's hit the build again and see. All right, built 60 of 60 lineups. Minimum exposure not fully met for Connor Zilic. 0 of 6. William Byron, 9 of 12. Chris Buescher, 6 of 9. Chase Briscoe, 4 of 9. AJ, 2 of 6. Ryan Blaney, 1 of 6. Denny Hamlin, 9 of 12. Ross Chastain, 0 of 6. Daniel Suarez, 0 of 3. Joe Logano, 1 of 6. So I guess if I wanted more of those, I could go push their minimum percentages up. But either way, so then you come over and you can import if you're. What I did find was because I run 20 max, 60 or 80 of the 50 cent 150 max. I run a couple of small field tournaments where there's single entry or triple entry, or I just run 3 of a particular, like the $20 or $10. I only run like 3 of those, but I do run 20 max full out. And if you have all of them on your Draftkings pull down CSV file from Draftkings, you can import that in and it'll copy and spit it back out. What I've just been doing is exporting to CSV. And then it just populates it right here. Oops. So, and then I guess we could spread these out to see it a little bit better. Yes, I've got like a lineup with SVG, Chase Elliott, Corey Heim, William Byron, Cole Custer, Ty Gillen. I don't necessarily have a problem with that lineup. Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, SVG, William Byron, Cole Custer, Ty Dillon. That's a pretty stout lineup. Larson, Elliott, Bell, Reddick, Austin Hill, Ty Gunn. I mean, that's a non-SVG lineup, but that looks actually pretty good. Yeah, so I mean, once again, just glancing at this, I wish it gave me a count percentage-wise. That's a lot of Jimmy Johnsons. Whew. I mean, not that it's necessarily all that bad. Either way, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just literally playing with this for a while and just, like I said, I'm not just setting it, putting it in, and forgetting it. I'm going to you want to go in and really kind of massage and manipulate this thing till we get it right, until you get it right. If you happen to figure out exactly what we're supposed to be doing here, like I said, I've just hand built for so long that I would not want that many Jimmy Johnsons. So I guess I just need to bump the percentage down on Jimmy Johnson is all that would really mean. I would like to know the percentage that I actually am running of SVG. Does it tell me anywhere? No, I don't think so. With SVG being 13,000, you really have to think about the math. Yeah. And, I mean, once again, like I'm probably going to end up running 80 different lineups. So for me to let the optimizer run either 40 or 60 of those lineups, I'm okay with it because I probably wouldn't put them. I'm only going to put my hand builds into the Chrome Horn lineup and, maybe the $2 20 max. But the quarter and $1, I'll let the optimizer just dump into that and we'll see how well it does or doesn't do. It'll save me a little bit of time by having the optimizer built, at least until I can get it massaged and figured out and kind of see what all these things do or don't do. It's a work in progress. This is an absolute beta version. It is brand new. Would love for you guys to get in, use it, and let me know your thoughts either through Discord or through the chat, or you can always just email me at mark@racinginthedraft.com. Would love the feedback. So it's there. Go have at it. Go play with it. But remember, if you go away from this, it gets erased. So I'm going to keep a lot of these percentages here. I'm probably going to change a few things to make it work a little bit better. But either way, it's there. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. I appreciate everyone tuning in this week. Next week, we are back out on the West Coast again. I guess they don't really leave. For Sonoma, that should be a much more upfront. We understand that course. We understand everything about it. There's definitely going to be 3 or 4 really, really chalky drivers for that. So we'll see what practice and qualifying does. Enjoy the race tomorrow. It's America's 250. It's a great way to celebrate this country, our military, and anybody that is listening that is part of the service or have our veterans. We really appreciate what you do for this country. And yeah, we'll see everyone next Saturday for the Sonoma race. And good luck tomorrow. And just enjoy a fun race tomorrow. You're welcome, Matt. Have a great night. Oh, Matt, hopefully you get some water drainage. I know that you live down in the in Cajun country, and boy, have you guys been just hammered with rain. So hopefully everybody down there is doing well and starting to dry out at some point. So everyone have a great night. We will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Gentlemen, start your engines. 40 cars coming to life.
Can you still take the field? Yep. Love it. Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight, getting the W, so gotta be around the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkered. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby! Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the best car here, bud. Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job.
Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend.
What a weekend. Good job.